Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to share this one with you. We're taking a little journey today to a small village in Sudan, and we're diving into a truly remarkable true story. We're going to look at an incredible account of a man who literally gave up everything he had worked for, purely for the sake of Allah. It's a story of sacrifice, of profound trust, and, well, ultimately of a return on investment that just completely defies logic. Let's get into it. Have you ever given up something incredibly precious only to receive an absolute miracle? Seriously, think about that for a second. We tend to hold on to our possessions so tightly, right? Especially when we've sacrificed deeply to get them. But today's explainer is really going to challenge us to look at what happens when we loosen that grip and just trust in a higher plan. So, let's set the scene. The story kicks off right in the middle of a frantic chase. Picture this, a desperately exhausted Sudanese man sprinting as fast as humanly possible through one dusty alley. Then another. His heart is just pounding out of his chest. Panic is completely setting in. He's chasing his family's Eid sheep. This animal represents weeks of agonizing sacrifice. It's literally the only hope for his kids' holiday joy, and it's just twisting and turning through these narrow, confusing village streets. And he's running under the blazing Sudanese sun, right? Dripping with sweat, lungs absolutely burning. Finally, the chaotic chase comes to an abrupt end. The panicked sheep darts straight into a small, dilapidated house. And I mean a house so poor it doesn't even have a front door. He stops, catches his breath, and thinks, okay, that's it, I've got it now. Section 1, a struggle to provide and the cost of a dream. Now, to really understand why this man was running so hard, we have to step back and look at the sheer, agonizing poverty this father was facing every single day. His daily income was honestly barely enough to survive. He did heavy manual labor, he poured sesame oil into tiny bottles just to sell to passing drivers, literally anything for an honest living. But, his kids were watching all the other families prep for Eid al-Adha, and it was actually his wife who made this heartbreaking suggestion. She said, let's divide your daily earnings, half for our daily needs, half for the Eid sacrifice. We can eat less. Even if we only have one meal a day, it's okay. I mean, wow. They literally starved themselves, saving every single spare coin just so their kids could experience the joy of the holiday. And eventually, finally, he had enough to buy a modest sheep. Which brings us to Section 2, the Great Escape, the broken rope. Because right after achieving this massive, monumental goal, disaster strikes on the ride home. So he's in the back of a pickup truck with his prized sheep, heading home to his incredibly excited kids. Suddenly, boom, the truck gets a flat tire, the driver pulls over, they get out to fix it, and in that one brief moment of distraction, the sheep actually manages to slip its ropes. Before anyone can even blink, it jumps out and just takes off running, which of course leads to the exhausting chase we started with. Section 3, the orphan house, unexpected joy. Because this lost sheep builds into one of the most emotional confrontations you can possibly imagine. When the man finally approaches that doorless house to get his sheep back, he doesn't hear a trapped animal. No. He hears children laughing. Look at the stark contrast here. On one side, we've got our father, impoverished, totally exhausted, his savings wiped out, and his own expecting kids waiting at home. On the other side, inside the house, he finds a group of orphans hugging the sheik, petting it, cheering. They're calling out to their grandmother, mistakenly believing that generous neighbors just gifted them a sheep for Eid. The sheer infectious joy of these orphans, who literally have nothing, is just radiating through the courtyard. Section 4, the ultimate sacrifice, a heartbreaking decision. This brings us to a moment that just stops time. Imagine the sheer moral weight of the choice now resting on the shoulders of this exhausted father. The grandmother comes out, she sees the man, immediately recognizes he's the owner chasing a lost animal, and her heart just sinks. She gently tells the kids that the neighbors are too poor to buy them a sheep. Then she turns to the man, seeing how exhausted and poor he looks himself, and she softly says, "My son, go ahead and take your sheep. It belongs to you." The man looks at the sheep. He looks at the radiant, joyful faces of these orphans, and then he thinks of his own hungry children waiting at home. I want you to just imagine the total silence in that courtyard before he speaks. Finally, he looks right at the grandmother and says, "I swear by Allah, I will never put my hand on that sheep again. From this moment on, it belongs to these children."
I mean, what a staggering level of selflessness. He turns around and walks away, absolutely refusing to look back even once. He gets back in the truck, riding home completely empty-handed. His kids come running up to him, jumping with excitement, asking where the sheep is, and he has to gently tell them, it'll come later. Then he sits down with his wife, the woman who sacrificed so much of her own food for this, and tells her the heartbreaking truth.
And her response? Honestly, it's something we should all frame on our walls. Instead of anger, instead of despair over the lost money and the hungry days, she smiles a really sincere smile and says, "Don't be sad. Don't regret it. The one who sees what you did is Allah, and Allah never lets a good deed go to waste." That right there is the absolute definition of tawakkul. Just perfect, unwavering trust in God.
This leads right into Section 5, the miraculous reward, the livestock market. Obviously, the man can't just sit at home. He has absolutely zero money left, and he still needs to feed his family before Eid. So he heads back to the livestock market, just hoping to find some manual labor, sweeping, unloading, literally anything to earn a few coins.
The very moment he arrives at the market, this massive truck pulls in. And this truck isn't carrying just a handful of animals. It's packed with over 200 sheep. 200! The man immediately jumps into action to set up the barriers and help unload, just desperate for the work. And guys, this brilliantly illustrates divine timing. He reaches out to grab the very first sheep off the truck. But before he can even move it, the flock owner steps up and says, "My brother, that sheep is yours." The man is so confused. He says he has no money. But the owner explains this astonishing vow. He says, "We made a promise to Allah that the first person who helped us unload the flock would receive the first sheep as a gift." Hearing this, the poor Sudanese man just drops to the ground and begins weeping like a child. The flock owner rushes over totally confused, asking why he's crying over a sheep. The man replies, "I'm not crying because of the sheep. I'm crying because of the generosity of Allah." He tells the owner the whole story, the flat tire, the orphans, the empty-handed return. Deeply moved, with tears in his own eyes now, the owner smiles and says, "The first sheep was yours because of our promise. But after hearing your story, take another." He gives him not one, but 2 premium, highly valuable sheep. No way, right? Just incredible. Section 6. Never truly lost. The meaning of tawakkul. Let's look at how this incredible resolution comes together to teach us the profound meaning of tawakkul. Because these were really high-quality livestock, far superior to his original purchase, the man sold the first sheep for a massive profit. He earned back way more than he originally saved. He kept the second, beautiful sheep and returned to his village. This time, when his kids ran up to him, they finally got their eyed sheep, and the family spent their holiday praising Allah for exponentially replacing what they thought was lost forever. So, we have 3 really clear takeaways from this story. First, sincere sacrifices are never truly lost. Second, divine reward operates on a timeline we simply cannot predict. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's delayed, but it always arrives. And finally, the most absolutely crucial lesson. When you do good, don't obsess over what leaves your hands. Instead, focus entirely on what enters your account with the most generous. And this brings us to a much broader understanding of true charity. It completely transcends financial wealth. Giving sincerely could mean letting go of a prized possession, like an Eid sheep, sure, but it also means offering a warm smile, sharing a kind word, or just helping someone carry a heavy load. It's the sincerity of the intention that counts, not the price tag of the gift. So, I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. What is something you can give sincerely today, knowing the most generous is keeping your account? Whether it's your time, your patience, or your resources, remember the incredible true story of the Sudanese man who gave away his family's dream, only to find that you can literally never outgive the Creator. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you next time.